A warm welcome to Morning Matters. I am Folashade Ogurinde. From supporting the tourism and hospitality sector to promoting global trade and investment, the Nigerian aviation sector has no doubt contributed immensely to the growth of the economy. Sadly, like most sectors of the economy, the safety protocols enforced to stem the spread of COVID-19 virus impacted heavily on revenue of the aviation sector, as most countries, including Nigeria, placed a ban on flights. According to reports, in the first 2 months of the global lockdown, the Nigerian travel industry lost more than 180 billion naira and thousands of jobs. To prevent the aviation sector from plummeting, the Nigerian government approved for a 5 billion naira bailout fund. While some industry players have criticized the amount of the fund, a third wave of the virus, no thanks to the Indian variants, cast a shadow on both global and Nigerian aviation sectors. Now joining me to discuss this is aviation analyst Mr. Olumide Nwayo. Thank you very much for joining us on Money Matters. The Nigerian aviation industry suffered heavily in 2020 with a ban on flights, a limited number of passengers allowed to board. But with the easing of restrictions, stakeholders were hopeful of a rebound in 2021. But how well do you think the sector is doing now?
Well, it was not only Nigerian aviation, it was aviation in general, world aviation. For the first time ever, all aircrafts were on ground, and that's made the industry suffer a lot. That was the harshest we've ever seen. We've had the 9/11, we had the SARS period, we had the Gulf War period. It was only some regions and some airlines that stopped flying. But for the first time, all airlines around the world were grounded, Nigeria inclusive. And that's why, as of today, for most airlines and most countries, only the domestic flights have picked up. Passengers are flying within their countries now, but flights to regions and outside the continent with neighboring countries and intercontinental flights are not profitable right now. Due to the COVID protocol, tests to be done and quarantine imposed by some countries, and even some ban placed on some countries from coming into their country. Luckily, we are not on the list of those banned by England, but some of our sister countries are part of those that are banned. And with all these, the international flights have not picked up at all. Because of all these processes, they ban the cost of the COVID protocols. If you go to somewhere like Ghana now, you need a test. You need about 4 tests: one in Nigeria before going, one on arrival in Ghana, one before departure in Ghana, and one on arrival in Nigeria. But then you accumulate all these costs together, it's always more than the cost of the ticket. So people are not really encouraged to do the international ticket now, and even countries are not even giving visa. So the international price has not picked up, but on the domestic floors, we are picked up, and we hope by 2022, end of 2022, we expect the regional and national price to pick up some level. But we are very concerned that by 2023.
Now let's talk about the 5 billion naira bailout fund. Some stakeholders have felt that the amount is very little, as they described it as a drop in the ocean, especially when you compare to the funds other African governments gave the aviation sector. Do you agree?
Well, yes, but let's get straight. What the government allocated was 27 billion naira. Was what was allocated to the industry, and just they allocated some funds to other sectors of the economy. Out of the 27 billion naira, the Ministry of Aviation, in their own thinking, gave only 5 billion to the industry and retained 22 billion for the national carrier that is still poor. And this is where we have problem in the industry. The industries are here. We have people on their knees, organizations are on their knees. People are suffering from the impact of the COVID. Yet you are keeping a larger chunk of the palliative for an end that has not been done. It's baffling. And this airline is not going to be government owned. You're bringing in private investors. So you're going to give those private investors 22 billion naira. Why those who already sweating it out in the economy with their own funds, with investing in airlines and right for the industry. They only give them 5 billion. I think there's a problem with that, and the industry is not happy with the decision of the palliative. But I think it needs to be reviewed.
For a while now, the economy, though still reeling from the impact of last year's lockdowns, experienced a sort of normalcy for a while. But with emerging fears of a third wave, the federal government has placed travel bans on certain countries. What level of impact do you think this will have on an already fragile sector?
Well, it definitely creates further fears in the economy. And the passengers cannot travel now to those countries due to the conditions. Even for those countries that allow you to come in, the conditions are stringent. If you take this, you're allowed to take the 72-hour test from Nigeria to go to somewhere in America. But if you have to pass through any of the European countries, your test will not be more than 48 hours. These are the kind of hiccups on the way that are hindering travel. Now, with the third wave coming, the government got it right. They have asked us to brace up rather than relax ourselves. We will be asked to return back to the protocols. The copy has been returned. That was there, but people have forgotten something it has been removed. And they've reiterated that it is still there, and we must go by it. We must not gather. We must have large gathering of people. People more than 50 are not allowed. And I think those protocols are just back, just for Nigerians to obey and believe that COVID is real, because we are a bit careless as a society. We just believe we have overcome it. India thought they had overcome it. They were even exporting vaccine. They were exporting medicals to other countries, living the home base, and now they've been hit badly from the base. So we need to get our acts together, continue with the vaccination process. I'm a strong believer in the vaccination process, because I think that the future of travel will rest on that due to the vaccination card that will be required, just like the yellow card we were using before. But the third wave will only affect international travel. On the domestic front, Nigerians will continue to go on their trip, except and only if the figure starts rising within Nigeria, then Nigerians will panic. I was not too happy in that report from the PDF, where Aviation was part of this, that they asked people to be cautious about traveling, where they asked those traveling by road to continue to travel. I find that very difficult, because for the aviation industry, right from the airport, all the protocols are in place. But most of the transport companies, they hardly ask them to wear their masks. People just sit down, three in a row, walk in and walk out, mix on the road, where buy banana, buy gala, mingle with a checkpoint.
But Mr. Awanyo, some would argue that the aviation sector needs to, follow more protocols, or based on the fact that, this is the first point of contact that's for those coming outside the country into Nigeria.
Yeah, we have not lowered the protocol and standard for the international flights. It has not been lowered. It has even become stringent. Before, the government allowed 98 hours. If you are taking the contact within 96 hours, you can come into the country. Now they've reduced it to 72 hours. That's what they've done. Now and when you come in, you're supposed to isolate yourself within 7 days, and come and go and do the test. Those are the improvement they brought into the protocols, and it's in place. Therefore, generally in the industry, you use your sanitizer. You will sanitize before you get into the airport. You sanitize your hand. Your temperature will be taken. You must have your mask before you can board. So we still have those processes in place. Even when you sit at the airport terminal, there are designated seats that you can sit. It was not like before when everybody can occupy all the seats. They space the seats. So the protocol at the airport and the air are still in place. So for the international, that the PTF has not made more stringent. So aviation has learned their lesson from the first wave, and I think we've continued to tighten the structure. But we need to look at other areas beyond the aviation. The land borders are there. So let's begin to focus on other sectors rather than aviation alone.
But definitely we must agree that, there have been reports that some officials at the aviation do not follow strictly the COVID-19 safety rules and guidelines. And there are unconfirmed reports that Nigeria now has the Indian variant of the COVID-19. I think that would, place emphasis on the fact that the aviation sector needs to be focused on in order to prevent a third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. But let's move on now. With all these developments, what are your projections for Nigeria's aviation sector? Do you think the sector would manage to keep its head above waters? Let
me put it straight that the the subject, that COVID-19, keeping Nigerians safe, is not only the responsibility of the aviation industry, we also have the responsibility of Nigerians and the PTF to lead it. A process has been setting. The airlines have not brought down the standard, and that's why till this moment you don't have in-flight catering on board. So the processes are still in place, irrespective of whether we've seen this coming or we've seen this or we've seen it will not come. The aviation sector has kept rigidly the process and protocols. We would expect Nigerians here to continue to observe the protocols in their places, in their own places as well and at home. Because if our domestic flights are increasing and you don't observe it at home and at work, then you might probably bring it to the aviation now, because from the international, it's now rare for the one in domestic that we don't allow that to spread and not increase. And we're happy that not increase. But when you come generally to the economy from your question, if I get a question, right, that's what are the way forward for us now?
Now, basically the projections for 2021, how well do you think the aviation sector would perform?
It's still going to be a bad year. It's still going to be a very bad year for the industry. The industry have right now is the domestic flights and domestic passengers. But this is a business that's dominated by the foreign currency, by dollars. So you need more international flights. You need them to come in, whether to your airline or the foreign airlines. Because for the agencies, it's the foreign airlines that virtually feed them a bunch of paying their taxes and other revenue. So without the international flights flowing in and over flights and all other flights, all of that international charter and cargo coming in regularly, we'll still have a problem in the industry. But the industry is not yet out of the woods. We will just have to continue to manage with what we have, continue to build the domestic market, pending when the international flights will be open and for all to smile. But until then, I can tell you for this year 2021, it's still going to be a very rough year for the industry. But what was projected before has increased now. The losses is going to move close to about $200 billion. So we are still in pain.
Yeah, we certainly hope that the government takes a look into these issues. But most importantly, like you've argued, perhaps the federal government needs to give the aviation sector more fund to help ensure that this sector doesn't have more losses. But thank you very much, aviation analyst Mr. Olumide Unwayo. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We take a pause here, but when we return, we'll discuss why Nigeria continues to be the top country in the world with the most interest in crypto trading despite the CBN ban. Stay with us. Welcome back. The clampdown on crypto transactions by the Central Bank of Nigeria sent waves of protests in Nigeria. Dealers and traders felt the ban was a direct hit on their legitimate means of income, especially at a time when the naira has twice been devalued. Although this isn't the first time the CBN would ban DMOs from transacting with crypto accounts, critics felt its enforcement came at a wrong time. Data shows that Nigeria tops the first 10 countries for trade volume. In 2020, Nigeria ranked third place after the US and Russia, generating more than $400 million worth of transactions. But why are Nigerians pulled like magnets to crypto trading? I'm joined now by Managing Director of Hantech Africa Limited, Mike Fowokwe. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, Nigeria continues to be the top country in the world with the most interest in Bitcoin in the past year. This is despite limits placed on the trade by the CBN. What do you think is the attraction for cryptos by Nigerians?
For most retail users, it's for speculative gains. Yes, that's basically for most retail traders, because what they actually do is exchange the naira for crypto and then wait for should I say rise in price and the profit from it. So basically for retail traders, which I fall into, the attraction is for speculative reasons, hoping that a price will rise from where it was purchased. And Bitcoin is highly volatile. Sometimes in a day, it could move up or down like 20%. It's huge for retail traders. Most retail traders they love such volatility, and then it's been nice because the price has been rallying for a very long time. Yes, there's a pullback, but then for most people, it's been nice because a lot of people have doubled their portfolio within 2 months, 2 months, which is amazing.
And what do you make of the restrictions the CBN imposed on crypto trading?
But yes, I've said this severally. It's good and it's bad. you know, it's good. The major reason why CBN has imposed that ban is because of illegality. you know, um, such volume of transaction is being carried on daily, I mean, in Nigeria, and yet there's no regulatory framework. If I am also in their position, I would be worried. But it shouldn't be an outright ban. There should be a regulation framework put in place to make sure things are done rightly. I think US have put that in place in their country. For every transaction on crypto, they're able to track. For now in Nigeria, it's difficult to track such transaction, and that's why the government is really worried. But I think, I mean, they should put in a very strict regulatory framework where transaction can be easily tracked.
Now, looking at the volume of transactions Nigeria alone made in crypto trading, do you think the CBN should change its position with regards to banning crypto trading in Nigeria?
I've said it, I've predicted this before time. They'll be forced to change their mind because it's a way of meeting the needs of, for me, the sectors that are more important to CBNs are the should I say, the small scale industries. Is really important to CBN because they are the vital driver of the economy. And then, yes, most of their goods are not being funded by CBN, because of their dollar policy, which I understand. They are trying to shore up the foreign reserve. So, I mean, crypto is giving an alternative whereby people can uh, use that to purchase their goods. We are a consuming nation, on a more serious note. So I think it's something they will be forced to look at and come up with a regulatory framework to regulate that industry. And I think it's something SEC is already working in collaboration with CBN to see that crypto transactions are regulated.
Now, I'd like to get your thoughts on the risks associated with crypto trading. What do you think?
Yes, for every speculative market, there's always a risk of losing money. And then for crypto, it's highly volatile. If you are double your portfolio in 2 months, you can also lose your money within that short period of time. Especially for those people that joined when crypto was already peaked, and now it's retracing. It's pulling back, it's depreciating in value. A lot of people are losing money and crying out now that wow, they are losing money. They've been lured to trade crypto and now they are losing money. So there's always risk of losing money in crypto. That's one. Now the ban by CBN and have encouraged what we call peer-to-peer transaction, which can lead to a lot of fraudulent activity, whereby there's a default by I mean, the person who is buying from the seller. So there's a risk, and the ban has increased the risk because the buyers can get the crypto and not pay a naira to the seller.
For Nigerians who are interested in dealing with cryptos, what would be your advice to them?
I would rather advise the government to find a way of regulating the business. I understand from one of the your guest speakers said that at the back end for the crypto settlement is really affecting the dollar reserve capital of Nigeria as a whole. So my advice to the government is to invite these exchangers. I think Luno, Binance, there are a lot of them. Okay, if it is affecting our should I say, I mean, dollar reserve, okay, the government can advise the exchanger to bring in their capital, which should be used as settlement. So, the amount they have will determine the volume of transactions, and that way it will not put pressure on our reserve capital. So, that's a solution I am preferring to the government to look into if it's something that they might find. I believe it will be of a very good value, so that there's no pressure on our reserve capital, and any serious business exchanger will bring his money to be used as settlement, and that way uh, transactions can be easily tracked and traced.
Mike Fowokwe, Managing Director, Hantech Africa Limited, thank you very much for your time on the program. Well, it's a wrap on the program. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Fola Shadi. A green day. Bye for now.